As you can see, the black topping has been completed. The bridge is complete. Some minor cleaning. And our signs are going up, and this will soon be a busy highway.
Unite and be one. As we gather here, O God, we ask that you would be with each one of us. Be with the governors and the senators from each state. God, we ask especially this day that you would be with us as a people, as a whole people. Help us to be reminded of who this bridge is dedicated to, and in memory of who it is dedicated to. It's dedicated to the people. And the person that we remember this day and name this bridge after, she's standing there. She was an advocate and a civil rights beginner for all people, regardless of who they are and what they are. Gracious God, we need that spirit today. For we find there are so many things that can and does divide us. And so God, may this bridge be to us a symbol of unity of spirit, unity of social and economic, environmental concerns and needs. So God, come and be with us in the rest of this dedication. May we celebrate. May we celebrate. Thank you, O God, for this opportunity and time to be together. And this cementing of bridging the gap and bridging the shore. In the name of the God and the Spirit of all humanity, Creator and the Architect of the universe, the Great Spirit, we ask this.
This is cutting the ribbon on the bridge.
I don't need to be in the way. You guys name it when it's on cue. Cut. 1, 2, 3. All right.
Mr. D. Ryder, to say today represents one of the best partnerships that's been created between two states. A relationship that extended to Washington, and with the assistance of so many, we're looking today at a bridge that is wonderful, a day that should only be surpassed by the great weather and the great opportunity that it presents for all of us. I'm pleased also to be here on this historic occasion to see a bridge that represents a bind between the two states, a tie named after Chief Standing Bear. The fact that it recognizes our heritage and brings us together is significant in its own way. I have found a better way. Those are the words of
Bernie, please.
Under the law. Those words are very appropriate today because we have found a better way to cross the Missouri River, a better way to link Nebraska and South Dakota, a better way to encourage new ventures across state boundaries. It's been 90 years since the death of the great Ponca chief who called this area home, but his spirit of determination and his vision for the future live on in the people who call this area home today. And this bridge is also a tribute to all those who worked so long and hard to make the bridge a reality. One person asked me how important this heading today was for me. I said, when you miss the first half of the Nebraska football game, you know it's important. And it's only an appearance at the halftime that was prearranged that will cause me to leave early. But to say, one family has paid especially, I think, for this bridge today, for the completion and has worked so hard. The family of Chuck Alder, who was killed during the construction. We recognize the sacrifice of that family. And in addition to the statue of Standing Bear and the Ponca Interpretive Center plan for the area, a memorial at the Scenic Overlook will recognize Mr. Alder and his contributions to this wonderful project. Progress can be difficult. And just ask anybody who's worked for so many years to make this possible today. But it's as natural as this river, the sun that rises in the east and sets in the west, and the trees that grace this wonderful vista that we can enjoy between our two states. I'm pleased that the state of Nebraska and the state of South Dakota and our friends in Washington with our federal government have been able to come together to make this day possible. Let it live on in our memories, and let it bring the states of Nebraska and South Dakota that much closer together in every way possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Governor Nelson. We'll next have a few words from Congressman Doug B. Ryder.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, young Dakotans, young Nebraskans. No natural force could have kept me away from the dedication ceremony today. August 29, 1996, I've been looking forward to this day as I know you have. I have too much time and effort wrapped up in this effort to this. This bridge, I think, is very important for the region and for the people of both states. But for me, I must admit, I rank it as something of a personal achievement. For as a then congressman from Knox County, on the Nebraska side, I've been an enthusiast for this area for most of my adult life. I independently concluded back in 1986 or 1987 when the ferry no longer began to operate, there was a real need for a replacement ferry or a bridge connection between Nebraska and South Dakota in this part of the area. At that time, I was only vaguely aware of the earlier abortive efforts to build a bridge in this area. The first in the 1927-32 era was ended by financial difficulties and failures and the beginning of the Great Depression. There are people here today from California and Oklahoma, families of some of the first person, Mr. Wilson, for example, from Albion, who was involved in that effort. Then the late 1930s, the pre-war years, ended another effort, and finally it began in 1950, just before the Korean War. However, as I said at the bridge groundbreaking in '96, seeing this bridge effort to a successful conclusion was a matter of strong will and tenacity against all odds. Mine, but many, many other people in this area, and my colleagues in state houses in both states and in Congress. I think it's accurate to say that I had something to do with the original effort because I asked for a study of a ferry replacement. Now that was the time I met Virgil Regal from Running Water, who took me across the river on a boat to show me what it looked like over here after the ferry. I also learned at that time about my friend Lester Fitch's long and strong interest in building a bridge near Niobrara. At this point, I was somewhat alone, I thought, in my effort, with no apparent encouragement at that point from Lincoln or Pier. But not surprisingly, the ferry study showed it wasn't feasible, and we moved on to an alternative, took it as a challenge to build a bridge. In May of 1989, and then again in 1991, my colleague in the House of Representatives, then Congressman Tim Johnson, and I, a co-equal in this effort every step of the way since that point, have done what we could. And soon we had all of the senators easily on our side from both states. And we have then the first of the successful appropriations. And then when Republicans took control of the Appropriations Committee, they changed the rules, and I was worried, frankly, no more earmarking. But then our governors in Pierre and in Lincoln and the state highway departments were very much committed to finishing this bridge effort with funds from the allocation of the federal funds coming to the two respective states. And so today we see this great day, and this cooperation is extending itself into the Vermilion-Newcastle area and for replacement of the Yankton Bridge. Now I want to particularly note the special contributions, not only my colleague Tim Johnson, as I mentioned, but Senator Tom Daschle, Senator Bob Kerrey, and former Senator Larry Prester, and our new colleague John Thune, who's helping us so much on the newer bridges. And I have two staffers here who worked for me all the way through this, Alan Fireherm and Jim Barr, and a former staffer I saw in the audience, John Amick, too, who put in an effort here. Gentlemen, thank you for your effort. Finally, and most importantly, I want to thank and congratulate all of the local community leaders from quite a distance here in this area for their tenacious support for this bridge over the years. The bridge will better knit our fleets together, greatly cutting the distance of necessary trips, and serve as a major economic development and tourism asset for this region. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great day. Let's all celebrate. Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman Bureau. I'd now like to introduce you to the Director of Nebraska Department of Roads, Mr. Alan Abbott.
Must be my electronic personality. It's a great pleasure to be here today. I've only been in Nebraska for about 6 years. I came from Illinois, where there also was some areas that they call Forgottonia because nobody ever seemed to care about the people that lived there. I think that Congressman B. Ryder, Senator Johnson, the other ones that have been mentioned, did a great service to the people of this area when they stuck with getting the additional dollars for the project. We did make up some of the difference, but it's obviously worthwhile. I don't know if many of you remember the Policing of America segment. Where are they today? I mean, that's what I like to know. It showed 3 cows or something at that session. If they come here today and they find out that there's not a Policing of America. I want to also congratulate the contractor, the prime contractor, Jensen Construction. I'm an engineer. I got a whole bunch of facts and figures that nobody's interested in. I got them in English, and both governors told me I had to use metrics, and I can't convert. So I go let those go, and you can read that in the paper. Thank you again. Congratulations on a job well done by everybody here. And I think it's a great day for everybody with this area. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Alan Abbott. I would now like to introduce you to the aide to the Nebraska Congressman Bill Barrett, Mr. Bruce Riker. I'm sorry, that's my mistake. Bruce Stryker was not able to attend. At this time, I'd like to introduce from South Dakota, Senator Tim Johnson.
Thank you. This is just an extraordinary day. I can't think of an effort that is a better example of what happens when we have a federal, state, local, public, and private partnership all coming together for one needed goal, as we did with this bridge that we see before us today. I can recall, about a decade ago, in my days as a House member for South Dakota, first going off to Washington, this being one of our first objectives, was to see what we could do about constructing a bridge at Springfield. I met Doug Beereiter at that time, who was a congressman from Nebraska, who at that time represented Knox County. I went to Doug and talked to him for a while. I had, frankly, some doubt. I thought this might be overreaching. This might be beyond what we might be able to do. But Doug encouraged me. We worked together. We worked with the Public Works Committee and the Appropriations Committee, making sure that this bridge project remained above board. That, in fact, it was authorized by the proper committees. The proper hearings were held. There were no pork barrel, middle-of-the-night insertions into legislation at all. It met the cost efficiency standards of both the Appropriations Committee and the Public Works Committee, with the recorded votes and close scrutiny by both parties in both the House and the Senate. We went about this in an above-board manner, knowing that the merits of the project would win out in the end. And in the end, they did. But it was a long progress. We achieved some initial funding the first year and again in the second year in these small installments as we inched towards the sufficient level of funding to get this bridge completed. They reached a point where we began to stall out, frankly, and had some very great difficulty getting funding in the House. Unfortunately, at that time, Senator Daschle in particular came forward and saved us on the Senate side to make sure that this project, in fact, did not stall out. And then after that, the state of South Dakota and the Nebraska Department of Highways both came to our rescue. It really was a matter of everyone having to pull together, but not least of all, credit goes to the local grassroots leadership. This would not have occurred in the first place had it not been for key families and communities playing such an important role. The Regal family, as I look at the Highway 37 Association in South Dakota, our friends in Nebraska, this project came to fruition because there was that kind of commitment and that kind of tenacity, in fact, to make it happen. And so now we have a bridge that I think will benefit future generations of people not just in this region, but throughout Nebraska and South Dakota. This is part of what we need to do to make sure that we expand economic opportunity for all of our people, Indian and non-Indian alike, east and west, north and south. And that because of the tenacity and the vision of the people of the Springfield, Niobrara region, we are going to have now something that future generations will be proud of. It will be an enormous contribution, I think, to the welfare and the quality of life of South Dakotans and Nebraskans for generations to come. Congratulations. Enjoy a wonderful celebration.
Thank you, Senator Tim Johnson. Now we'll have a few words from Senator Tom Daschle of South Dakota.
Well, everything's been said, but not everyone has said it. Let me simply add to those who have preceded me to the podium in congratulating all of those who are responsible. The sun is shining down in more ways than one on South Dakota and Nebraska. I think it was Harry Truman who first was credited with saying it takes any jackass can knock a barn down, but it takes a carpenter to build one. Today we celebrate carpenters. We celebrate those who truly bridge the gap in our differences. Republicans and Democrats in two delegations. City and urban people working together. People on both sides of this river bridging their differences and reaching their goals because they believe that this bridge could truly make a difference. Indians and non-Indians, all working together to achieve a higher purpose. And so as we celebrate this magnificent new construction, let us thank those who physically made it happen, the Chuck Alders and all of those here today who can say, I built part of that bridge. Let us thank them. And let us thank the people who aren't here today. The people in Nebraska and in South Dakota who put forth tax dollars to ensure that the people who use this bridge could do so. The people from Maine to California who put in their tax dollars. The people of the United States who recognize the importance of good infrastructure. So indeed today, we not only celebrate, we thank. Because as a result of this bridge, we are closer together in more ways than just geography. There will be people who will now get a better education. There will be people who will get a better job. There will be people who will get better health care. All because of the contractors who made a difference. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Senator Dancho. I would now like to introduce you to the aides as South Dakota Representative John Thune, Troy Larson.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here today to represent Congressman John Thune. I know he truly wishes that he'd be able to join everyone today. He asked that I read a short greeting to everyone. Dear friends, thank you for the invitation to attend the dedication of the Chief Standing Bearer Memorial Bridge. I regret my schedule prevents me from joining today's celebration. It truly would be an honor for me to be here for this long-awaited bridge dedication. Congratulations. This day is the culmination of over 70 years of hard work and persistence. The drive and determination of the people of both South Dakota and Nebraska has been amazing. Viable transportation options play a vital role in the ability of communities to survive and thrive in rural states like South Dakota and Nebraska. Without this link, the potential for economic growth is stymied. This bridge and other projects like it across the state will help ensure families have access to health care, businesses will be able to attract new customers, and industries will be able to expand and grow. I commend former Mayor Marvin Chambers, current Mayor Norm Shelsky, Virginian Virgil Regal, and all the members of Springfield and Niobrara communities who have worked so tirelessly over the years to make this dream a reality. It has been encouraging to see the unity of purpose behind this effort. We can all be very proud of what has been accomplished together. Again, congratulations and best wishes. Very truly yours, Congressman John Thune. Thank you very much.
Very much. You know, as I walked down to the bridge and met Governor Nelson with Senator Daschle, Senator Johnson, Representative Congressman Thune, and they then had the prayer, I couldn't help but think of a greeting that I used to get when I used to go visit my friends on the Yankton Reservation. And to all of you ladies and gentlemen that are assembled here today, they talk about whether or not this is a pork barrel project. So it is. What's wrong with that? It's our turn. You know, everybody else in America has had their projects. You can go to most places in America that's concrete from one end of a state to another. Our state here in South Dakota isn't even yet 110 years old in statehood. Our friends in Nebraska aren't much older than that. It wasn't that many decades ago that Lewis and Clark were coming up this river and writing about the incredible wonders that God had created in this vast expanse called the Louisiana Purchase, and writing their chronicles as they traveled through the area. And as you read their chronicles, you can literally find all these spots even today. You know, as we talk about who gets credit, everybody who worked on this project, even the complainers who didn't want it, deserve credit. Because they forced the vast majority of the rest of you to really roll up your sleeves and go to work and show people why it was necessary and why it was important. And I can tell you, Senator Johnson, you did a marvelous job. You did a very good job. You started it when you were over in the House, and you carried it when you were over to the Senate, and you provided real leadership in sticking to your guns and trying to see that it got done. You, Senator Daschle, also did a marvelous job. When the going got tough and when things were really in doubt and it looked like it may not make it after it had come such a tremendous journey, you rolled up your sleeves and you went to work. You worked on the inside, you worked on the outside. And because of your perseverance, that additional push also helped it to get done. Senator Pressel deserves credit for the work that he did in the Senate and on the Senate Transportation Committee, and Congressman Thune deserves credit. The point that I'm trying to make is this isn't a Republican bridge, it's not a Democrat bridge, it's a bridge that belongs to the people of Nebraska and the people of South Dakota, something that will lead towards not only better development in both the states, but it will lead towards an opportunity to increase the economic environment for the rural people in both of our states, something that none of us can take for granted. And when we live during a time when cattle prices and hog prices are so low, what's wrong with a pork project for our two states? Nothing, absolutely nothing. You know, as I flew my plane in here today, and I didn't come out over the bridge today, because I was a little bit lost. As I flew my plane in and I circled over on the south end of Springfield and lined up and then landed on runway 33. And I could see all the people. All the people. But there's nothing wrong with landing at Springfield International Airport. I mean, don't laugh. How many of you thought you'd have a bridge? You don't know what's in store for the airport in the future. But as I lined up and I could see all the cars coming down the highway, and then we drove down here and I could see all the cars coming from Nebraska. Honestly, I couldn't help but think that as the Native Americans, the Ponca and Yankton tribe gave the prayers, I stood there listening to them singing and beating the prayer. Honestly, I was reflecting on how many times we spend fighting over the river between our friends in Nebraska, our friends in the tribes, and ourselves in South Dakota. And that if we ever get together, like everybody did on this bridge, it's a winner for all of us. The Indians win, the whites win, the Nebraskans win, the South Dakotans win, and ultimately this country wins. And so there's a message in this for us today. There's really a message for all of us. And that is, as Senator Daschle says, a jackass can kick a barn down, but it takes carpenters to build it. And a jackass can stop any project that anybody ever talks about for the betterment of communities and the betterment of mankind. And no matter what you ever talk about for a project, there are always those who will tell you all the time, always, 1,000 reasons why it isn't any good. But it's those people that come up with 3 or 4 good reasons as to why it's good and why they want to change their circumstances, that we can turn these stands of lemons into lemonade. And so I don't deserve any special credit for this bridge. Frankly, this thing was started before I came back to the governor's office. And it was rolling when I got back. And yes, I helped make decisions to push the funding at the end through the State Highway Department to make sure it became reality when it ran into a stumbling block. But I can tell you very honestly, it was a long way down the road. It's all these other people that put in their time and their effort. And it isn't just elected officials. Elected officials were doing their job in both states when they were representing their constituents to get them the transportation they need to give our people on both sides of this bridge the same opportunity that so many other people in America have had to have investment that's made by government through taxpayers to help raise the economic standing and the quality of life for everybody. It gives me a great deal of pleasure to stand on a platform today. The flag of the United States, the flag of the state of Nebraska, the flag of the Yankton Sioux tribe, representatives of the Ponca tribe of Nebraska, and the flag of the great state of South Dakota. Thank all you people, and a lot of them like you, for making this a reality today. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor Janko. I would now like to introduce Jim Jensen, the South Dakota Department of Transportation.
Thank you, and certainly a pleasure for me to be here today. On my way here today, I got to thinking about how many crossings South Dakota has over the Missouri River. If my memory serves me, I think this bridge makes a total of an even dozen. While I was thinking about all those crossings, I considered the history behind them. Then it occurred to me that there really is a reoccurring theme among these crossings. One of the things that they have in common is that most involve a long, complicated process to get them from an idea to actually being built. But the real key, the common thread, was the dedicated people, you people, who stood steadfast and declared, "We can make it happen." The words of Margaret Mead, a famous American anthropologist, ring so true to the people of this area. She said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that has." A lot of times, we thought we were close to getting the necessary funds to get on with this project. But as Herbert Hoover once said, about the time we can make ends meet, somebody moves the end. You good people never gave up, no matter what trials and tribulations you endured. Sometimes your spirits have been slightly dampened, but your resolve was strong and you went unhindered. This reminds me what someone once told me about a fellow who had just one piece of bad luck after another. When he asked what he thought God's intentions were, he responded, "They were just tests to make me stronger." Well, I think you good people have that same positive attitude, because this accomplishment could not have been done without such perseverance. As a fitting tribute to Chief Standing Bear, we stand here today as one with our neighbors, joined together at long last. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jensen. If you note in your program, we have scheduled Fred Leroy, the chairman of the Ponca Tribe of Nebraska. He became ill, and in his place will be Andy Tate.
Tribal Chairman Fred Leroy of the Ponca Tribe of Nebraska asked me to say these words in this place too, while he regrets not being here right now. Good afternoon. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce the Ponca Tribal Council. I ask you to please stand while I say their names. First off, from District 1, Donabelle Winslow and David Zephyr. District number 2, Vice Chairman Mario Paniska and myself, Secretary Andy Tate. District number 3, James LaPointe and Linda Stoller. District number 4, Treasurer Rick Wright and Alex Taylor. I would also like to recognize our Cultural Director, Philip Manzella, who has put a lot of time and effort into the dedication of the Chief Standing Bear Memorial Bridge. Thank you. I'd like to also thank Governor Ben Nelson and William Jackler, Senator Tom Daschle, and Tim Johnson, and Congressman Doug B. Ryder and Bill Barrett for making the bridge a reality, and for supporting in the naming of the bridge for our famous Chief Standing Bear. I would like to acknowledge Chairman Canoia of the Yankton Sioux Tribal Council, Chairman Denny and the Santee Sioux Tribal Council, Merv Jacobson and the Highway 14 Association, Beryl Regal and the South Dakota Highway 37 Association, the Nebraska Department of Roads, and the South Dakota Department of Transportation for the support of the Chief Standing Bear Bridge. I would like to especially acknowledge the family of Mr. Chuck Hager. I'd like to end by reading a poem written by a tribal member, Mr. Pete A. Cesar. This poem was written for the occasion of the dedication of the Standing Bear Memorial Bridge, August 29, 1998. Its author is Peter Cesar, a Ponca born in Omaha, Nebraska. He's an author, editor, and English lecturer now employed in Madison, Wisconsin. This is one of the many poems he has written about Standing Bear in the Poncas, which he hopes to publish as a collection. Chief of the Poncas. There lies Standing Bear, buried deep in the valley of the Niobrara, in the hearts of his people. Today we remember Standing Bear, but there were others. Ponca men, women, and children who struggled, lived, and died for the Indian dream. They perished in the bitter winter of discontent, known as the Ponca Trial of Tears. They in Standing Bear defied the government, its army, its lions. They in Standing Bear defended the Indian white. There is a memorial to a true American Standing Bear, Chief of the Poncas. For more than any other human being, America is the story and the land of the Indian. In the spirit of the Standing Bear, knowing that our fathers and our mothers never sold this land. In the spirit of Standing Bear, knowing that this land was never savage and knew it was there. This land sustained us. We worshipped it. Its vast skies, open prairies, and beautiful valleys of light and freedom. Today, let us recall Standing Bear, his trials, his words. The same God that made all men made the Poncas too. The same God that made men free made the Poncas free. There is a memorial to Standing Bear, a true Nebraska, a true Ponca patriot, and a man truly worthy of his people. Peter Cesar. In these closing words, I would like to also add that as Poncas and my people have had a proud service, that our council has worked very hard for our people and other Indian people, and yes, even Indians. Today is a threshold. Today is a turning point for all people. I'll say one thing, that when you come into our country, into our Ponca people, that elders like Donovan Gonzalez, elders like my great aunt, Claire, they remember things. And I ask that when you tread in our country, that you tread with respect and dignity. As we tread in your country now, with respect and dignity. In these closing words, I say thank you very much. But I also say thank you to the people, the Ponca Tribe of Nebraska, and to the Tribal Council. I hope.
Thank you, Mr. Tate. I would now like to introduce the Nebraska Highway 14 Association Vice President, Mr. Robert Olson.
This is a very exciting day indeed. 7 years of team effort by many people have come together to make this event a reality. On behalf of the Highway 14 Association, I would like to say thank you and recognize several people who have left Nebraska. I want to start with Mr. Pitt, who has had a lifelong desire to see this project completed. He kept plugging away, promoting great efforts, and many of us thought we did not see much hope of the bridge ever becoming a reality. I would like to thank Congressman Doug Needham, who detailed about the current efforts started in proposing a resource service to the Niobrara running water crossing. These efforts were later shifted to the bridge when it became apparent that the ferry service was only temporary and over the long run would not be cost effective. Even after the bridge was in alignment and moved away from his district on the
Where's Jack? Oh, I see them guys.
Congressional delegation and government from both states were very supportive of us. They also took the support of many other members of Congress and capsule. Commission also given this county and local government to tribal government on both sides. Allowing public private citizens to thank you is also in order for the construction companies and many workers involved in the construction process as well as the other officials from the Civil Highway Department, both states, and the Federal Department of Transportation. On a sad note, I recognize the loss of the life of Chuck Calder due to a construction accident early in his death. In closing, I would like to say thank you to the community of the drivers in Springfield and to give completion and thank you there in the Royal Road for completing a great team. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Olson. At this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Dan Timmons from Jensen Construction Company. He is their project manager.
Good afternoon. I noticed you seems like after such a long way I want you to know I am truly not on behalf of this construction company, I would like to extend our congratulations. As a young man growing up, I never dreamt that I would be here today celebrating this event. Fortunately for you, long before I was born, someone began dreaming of this bridge and this day. More importantly, for over 7 years, that dream was realized and has now become a reality. The members of the Highway 15 Association and the Highway 37 Association committed for this perseverance. Jensen Construction Company has been in business since the beginning of the country and now crossed the Missouri River 9 times, from Williston, North Dakota to Boonville, Missouri. While I believe this site has to be the most beautiful place we have ever crossed in Missouri, it has also been one of the most challenging. The structure that you see today exists because many people have worked very hard for the last 3.5 years. I am very proud of the effort Jensen Construction Company and our employees have put forth in constructing this project. I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Mark Ford, our project superintendent, his staff, and our employees for many long hours of work and their dedication. It takes special people with a strong commitment to build a bridge like this. I would also like to acknowledge Mr. Larry Housen, project manager of the Nebraska Department of Roads, and his staff for the part that they played in the construction of this bridge. It was a pleasure working with them. Lastly, but not least, I want to recognize one more person. This man is a very big part of this construction company. From the moment we received the bid letting notice for this project, he was interested in building this job. I suppose much of his enthusiasm started back from the local Niobrara, South Dakota. Throughout the construction of this project, he has provided helpful advice and support. I'd like to acknowledge Mr. Jim Rasmussen, the owner and president of Jensen Construction Company. Jim grew up nearby in vibrant South Dakota, and is here today with his wife and many of his friends. I know that Jim is very proud that Jensen Construction Company has built this bridge that benefits so many people in the Dakota State and their neighbors in Nebraska. Congratulations again. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan Timmons. At this time, I would like to introduce the South Dakota Highway 37 Association President, Mr. Virgil Regal.
There, Mel.